Okay, guys, I'm hopping in real quick here. I have another trial going on live. We're gonna hop in. We're going to see the Kouri Richins hearing, and so if you see me speaking but can't hear me, it's okay. I'm on the other one. I am doing a duo live as we speak, so let's go. Hello, welcome, Ronnie. Welcome, everybody. Let's get into her hearing.
So cute.
Is there anything you need before we start? We're just talking about logistics today. Yeah. No worries. No worries.
I'm gonna zoom.
I'm not sure how.
Record, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Record, okay. Oh, okay.
On record.
Sounds good. Yes, sir. Okay. You also need to do your level best to keep breaking out of the shower.
I'm only getting her good side, sir. I promise.
I'm not joking. You need to keep breathing out of
That's
there.
funny.
All right.
Did the baby come?
Melanie's? I don't think she's due yet.
Oh, she's not?
No. We have a little bit of time.
I was wondering if she had a baby yet.
I think we're still about 4 weeks out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mr. Bloodworth, we need to wait for anything else.
I don't know what just
I don't
happened.
think so, sir.
Okay. It's up and around here. Ms. Lewis, you're ready to go?
I guess we're ready.
Okay, I'll fix it. Hold on. They have no camera. They went to a blank screen. Give me a second. See? Look, it went black. So here we are.
You talk to Kouri Richins. Kind of counsel for the state make their appearance, please.
Brad Bloodworth for the state senator.
And for Ms. Richins, please.
Oh, let me get this up, guys. My bad.
Alexander Ramos.
Very good. Good afternoon, Ms. Richins. All right. At the end of
Here we go. It dropped stream. We're good.
the preliminary hearing, we talked about some logistical and
We're all
planning
good?
considerations.
Great.
Defense counsel mentioned potentially 2 rounds of pretrial briefing. I raised some issues regarding jury selection that I'd like to raise again. I also made a misstatement. I said that whether one side or the other would be able to show extraordinary circumstances sufficient to get out of the standing order regarding virtual jury selection was not my decision. I was misinformed. It is my decision. And so that motion gets made to me, not to Judge Scott. So can we start with some jury selection issues while I have them on the tip of my tongue here? We're set for 4 days, April 28th to May 1. Issue number 1 is, I imagine, based on Ms. Nestor's reaction at the end of the preliminary hearing, that there may be a motion regarding extraordinary circumstances justifying in-person jury selection coming from one side of the V or the other. I'd like to set a deadline for that briefing so we can get some certainty about that one way or the other. I also think we need to give careful thought to what extent counsel wants to make a motion to limit public access to jury selection, both in person and virtually. The base setting is that it is a
Hello. Trial live. How are
portion of
you?
the proceedings. I have strong concerns that that would not be in the interest of justice in this case. And so we need to give the parties an opportunity to brief that issue. We need to notice a hearing on it in case members of the media want to intervene and be heard. So give some thought to that. Then there would be practical considerations regarding, do you want to use a special questionnaire a case-specific questionnaire for this case. If you do, I prefer that it be stipulated, but that's something we can do regardless of whether it's in person or virtually.
Yes, we're gonna want that for sure.
Okay. The number of jurors per day you want to see. I'm not going to impose any limitations on attorney-conducted voir dire of individual jurors. We just need to have a practical decision about how many do you want to summon per day of selection. And then how many alternates are in panel? That will impact the number of peremptory challenges.
So we only get 8, right? We don't get 12.
Right, it's not a capital crime.
Well, go ahead.
Am I wrong about that? I think I'm right
It
about
was
that.
charged as a capital crime.
But since they've declined,
That's what we weren't sure about.
I'm happy to be educated about this. My understanding was that because they had filed the declination, that it is no longer a capital crime.
I'll check on that.
For example, you all were not required to be CAP certified, even though I think you are.
We are.
And so, but I ran this to ground at that time. But let me know if you see it differently.
Did you stipulate to 12?
I have to think about that. But I see it as 8 now.
What?
I see it as 8 now.
Get it.
Just so I'm sorry, do you want us to remain seated during
Wherever
this?
you're comfortable.
Okay, I know it's gonna be a lot of talking, but, I always file a motion seeking 12 jurors, and it's always overruled by every judge in the state
Thank
of
you. They
Utah.
have a great
Because
court
I am
feed.
an optimist that law is going to get declared unconstitutional one of these days. So I'm always like, if I got a client serving life and this changes everything, then.
Okay.
So I generally always file that motion, and I know that the law is against me, but I do it anyway.
And I'm already working on.
Trial
stipulation
TV,
on that
you're
one.
doing
Well,
great.
So-
I'm not gonna
Appreciate you
prejudge
so
it.
much.
I mean, I'll take a look at whatever you say.
No, I mean, the law is against me, I'll concede it on the front.
Okay.
But I just optimistically, I really believe that, I think there's 3 states left that have less than 12 jurors. And the last time the Supreme Court thought about this, I think Gorsuch had an interesting comment in his dissent that kind of hinted he didn't like it. And if it came up again, he may have something to do with it.
No,
So
I love you.
just based on
I
that.
love you the
I
most.
file it. But
Okay, that's fine. I expect that the state will be citing the statute that defines the
Correct.
size of a jury absent stipulation, but
I'm
we'll-
sure.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Those were my
Hey, Trial
thoughts
TV Live.
regarding issues that we,
I got to do this before I forget. We, myself and Diane, are going to interpret the vice presidential debate. Would you consider live streaming my stream on yours channel so we can reach more of the deaf community?
need
Please.
to address.
I know it's not your
related to
normal
jury
stream,
selection.
but it's to reach the deaf
Consistent with my
community.
comments in the preliminary hearing or the close.
The more
of
the
preliminary
merrier.
hearing, I'd like to get some
More
certainty regarding those
Sharing
earlier
the
rather than
merrier.
later, so you can all plan accordingly. But I understand that it may take some discussion amongst yourselves or some briefing to get to the end of that. I have another question, but I can pause on jury selection for a moment.
We'll try to have a meeting with the district attorney's office, I'm so sorry, it's just habit, the county attorney's office. And
That'd
see
be
if maybe
great.
we can come up with some agreements on the number of alternates and the number of jurors per day.
We won't be
Um,
taking any political sides.
So
It's
maybe
just
we
straight
can, when we
interpreting.
present that, it'll all be hopefully, I imagine we could probably reach an agreement on that.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll take that out of your, something, one less thing you have to worry about.
Okay, Mr. Bloodworth, anything else regarding jury selection today?
No, sir.
Okay, Ms. Lewis.
Nothing I can think of now, Your Honor.
I'm embarrassed to ask this, but can you tell me when you issue your jury summons, are you doing it on, are you doing it based on the voter registration? Are you doing it based on driver's licenses?
I thought it was both.
Both?
Yeah.
It is both, okay. And then,
Meaning either or is sufficient to identify a potential juror. They don't need to have both.
so can I ask another question, because I think this will go to our motion?
Sure.
So if it were to be virtual.
Right.
How many jurors, do you have like the 10 at a time? How much show on your screen?
So our normal procedure is to say we have 60 that show up.
Right?
We'll summon 80, we'll get 60. There is general questioning. Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody's names? Have you heard of this case? Do you have a reason you can't serve? Any hardship, disability? We ask all those questions. We ask them to respond only by raising their hand. So we can just mark their numbers down. And the technical limitations of WebEx is that you can see 20 panes, 20 boxes per time. So we just cycle through groups of 20 and make notes.
I wonder if
Once we get
Kouri's
to the
gonna
end of
ask for a
general
makeup
questions,
artist and a hairstylist like Sarah
I
Boone did.
typically allow counsel to conduct a voir dire of individual jurors, starting at number 1 and going through number whatever until we pass a sufficient number for us.
So only the 20 that are up on the screen can hear what you're saying?
No, they can all hear it, you just won't be able to see them.
But you can see 20 at a time.
Correct.
That's what I was asking. Okay. All right. Then you can, when you do the individual, everybody's blocked out except the one juror.
Correct.
Okay.
I also typically dismiss them after attorney-conducted voir dire is done. So if we talk to number 1, you ask questions of number 1.
Thank you,
I
Ronnie.
say, all right, you can disconnect for the day. You'll get an email by the end of the day letting you know whether or not you were selected. So they're not hanging around waiting.
Great. That's nice for them.
It is. Now, in fairness, I've gotten complaints about that from defense counsel because when it comes time to exercise perimeters, they can't remember who is who.
Right.
So you'll need to maybe figure out a way to do a screen grab or something if you need to create a Facebook.
They usually don't have handcuffs
Thank you for
on
that.
with their shackled in a proceeding. But depends on the
I'm still
jurisdiction.
getting used to this new
Miss
technological
Boone,
world.
she was handcuffed because she was
Okay.
sitting in the jury box and not with her attorneys.
And can I ask one more question?
Please, this is the time for this.
If there's a motion to sequester, are you planning on, do you automatically sequester on first degree homicide or no?
We haven't yet.
Okay.
She
So
has a
if there was
blue
desire, and I'm not saying there is, but
material
if there
under that
was,
jacket.
we need to do a motion on that. You don't automatically do that.
No.
Okay.
In fairness, I can't remember the last time. I don't know that that's occurred in the 6.5-ish years I've been on the bench. Can you think of a time that Utah judge has done that in recent memory?
I don't know. Do they do it on Elizabeth Smart? No.
Now the next one.
I'll keep an open mind about all of this, but
Well,
jury trials are based on the honor system among the jurors to a large extent. I don't know that we're gonna be able to get away from that.
yeah.
Now, we can go to great lengths to protect the jurors during jury selection of potential jurors, which is why I have concerns regarding public and media access. We'll be very
She
careful not to
could
use names if we can avoid it.
Be in
First names
prison
are fine.
garbs,
I
but
really try
it
not to use
was
last
so
names.
cold
Make it work
that
for people
her
to read
attorney
it.
had a jacket and put it on her. That is
And then once a
possible.
jury is
Those
impaneled,
rooms are not the
we can
warmest
provide
rooms
them
in the
special parking, a separate
neighborhood.
entrance, keep them out of the public parking lot, things like that. We've done all that before for the Paltrow trial.
Oh, that's helpful.
But talk amongst yourselves about how you want to do it, what you want to do. There is budget being reserved by the administrative office of the courts to have additional court staff officers for this trial.
Does the court provide the meals so they're not out wandering around during breaks?
We haven't, we can talk about that. I mean, they may appreciate being able to stretch their legs, go make a phone call, right? So we need to be humane. This is three
Good
weeks.
possibility, not for sure,
Action.
a good possibility.
In federal court, they bring them into lunch, they let them have their phones
Sure.
for,
Right.
personal matters. But- So I just wondered, is there anything else we need to ask them about jury?
This won't be the last time we can address these issues.
Sure.
This is all very helpful. I'm sorry to ask me. This is the
No.
first time I'm trying to case in Summit County, so I apologize.
The good news is we can do pretty much anything we want. There's very few layers of bureaucracy limiting us.
Okay.
So do you have an idea? So can I segue to another issue that I think directly impacts this issue?
Sure.
So we do anticipate filing a motion to change venue. I know the court's position on it. I read what you said in the first hearing, but I feel like.
Be
What?
more specific, is it to pull jurors from a different county and bring them up here or remove the case?
Honestly, I'm more interested in the jury pool than I am the physical location.
Okay.
I mean, I hadn't really thought about that, in terms of which, to me, it's all about getting a jury that doesn't have a preconceived opinion about this case,
Sure.
which is gonna be really hard to do in this county, and I know you recognize that clearly.
Query whether there's a county in Utah or the
Yeah.
United States that has received less news coverage of the case. I mean, this is something I'll need you to help me understand. The case is covered on the BBC.
Right. Well, we actually are looking at some issues other than press coverage, which we will put in our motion.
Understood.
I know that I've been looking at the case law and what the factors are. I do think there's some other key factors here that only will affect people in Summit County. But I'm saying all this because it seems that the court would need to, maybe decide that first.
Hello,
Because I think it would
gang.
impact,
Welcome,
my
welcome.
motion about the jury selection. Or we could file them at the same time and you could do them all like that first round, but I do expect there to be a fairly substantial motion to change venue. And one of the things I was going to ask you, we're obviously trying to be cognizant of the budget of this case and not waste the county's money. Most substantial motions to change venue contain affidavits from members of the community.
Are you planning to perform a survey?
Well, what I was kind of trying to get to was how much you would need. Like, do you need 200 affidavits or do you need 2? Do you need, I guess I don't know what you've relied upon in the past, and I'm trying to get a feel for if we have like affidavits from people in various parts of the county and maybe had 5 or 10. Are you gonna be like, I need at least 200 or I'm not gonna consider it, or?
I
Because we're
don't
gonna have
have any preconceived rules like this. One of the questions I would have, and I imagine one of the things the state would point me to is, are these affidavits a representative sample of the potential jury pool or not?
Right.
For example, with the Smart case, I believe they performed statistically valid surveys of several, more than one alternative venues.
Okay,
Now, it didn't carry the day in that case.
Right.
So I don't mean to suggest that I'm leaning one way or the other, but I would have questions about how the affiants were identified.
so one of the options is to hire a polling company that does this professionally. They do try to come up with statistically valid samplings.
Sure.
And that's kind of the direction we're leaning at this point, but I don't know.
Are you going to do something similar for your proposed alternative? Because without the ability to compare results, I don't know that I'll have an ability to say that a different venue is more likely to be fair.
Okay, that's an excellent point.
I mean, one of the things we've talked about, right, is the need to engage in lengthy, meaningful, substantive voir dire to guard against implicitly or explicitly biased jurors.
Right. Okay. I think that kind of answers, because that actually is cheaper than doing the affidavits, because they can just do a telephone poll. So,
Please have some conversations with the state to make sure they have sufficient access to methodologies and responses.
of course,
I want to make sure they don't feel like they are being surprised by the process of results.
I will. Let's see. Okay, so then I guess my suggestion would be that whatever deadline we set for the jury motion, we probably would also, because that'd be you're trying to get that done as soon as possible, right?
Those are
So,
prison garbs. That could be a
The
prison
first round of
little
deadlines, I think, should include
jacket
the motion to
that they
change
throw
venue,
over them.
because it may
That looks
change
like
everything,
prison
right?
garbs to
Including
me,
the
but I could be
trial date,
wrong.
depending on.
I don't know, it depends if you're pulling Salt Lake jurors up here,
That's
I need
true,
to see straight on.
which,
worked for me, but
I mean, I don't know what your alternative venue would be.
Yeah.
She
But
could be in
Salt
street
Lake
clothes.
City, Salt Lake County.
Lucky her, but her hair's a hot
I mean, this
mess.
is a big county.
right,
Anybody being paneled from Southern County may have to drive more than 30 miles or more than 30 minutes. And so
right.
I, sitting here today, can't say that it's.
Actually, I think she may have a
simply
cold.
beyond the pale to ask a Salt Lake
She's
juror
been
to
a little
drive up here.
sniffly.
Right.
If you have concerns regarding the courthouse staff regarding me, those are different. I'll give whatever you final fair consideration.
Thank you. Okay. That was the only thing. I
There's
wanted
some
to bring up
mascara
about,
on,
I felt kind of went hand in hand with the jury selection issue.
but she didn't get a
The
makeup
third
artist and a
district standing
hairstylist.
order applies to Summit, Salt Lake, and Tooele counties. And
But
so
then again, she
your
hasn't asked.
Burden in showing extraordinary circumstances sufficient to escape virtual jury selection will be the same across the entire district. I'm not hearing that you're seeking a reassignment of a judge, so I think you're stuck with me, Ms. Richins, through the case.
Okay.
And candidly, if we can keep the trial date and ask reasonably some Salt Lake County jurors to drive up here.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than move the case to Matheson.
I do have one other question about the jury too. I know normally judges don't do this, but because jury selection may extend multiple days, we might ask that you instruct the jury about being exposed to media, almost like you would once they get sworn in. And I don't know if
do, as part of my normal script,
you do.
I do.
Great.
Make it quite clear that they can't do any research, talk to anybody about the case until they're told whether or not they're in panel.
Perfect.
Now, you will not have to exercise your peremptories until we've passed the requisite number for cause. And so if we pass 4 on day 1, you don't have to figure out if you're gonna use any peremptories on day 1. That'll be at the end.
Okay.
But I would propose that each day is self-contained. If we bring in 60 on day 1, when we're done with those 60, they're done. We just move on to the next group the next day. Otherwise, you can imagine how the group size is going to get larger and larger as we go.
Right.
It'll become unwieldy. Give that some thought.
Okay.
So you'd want to do peremptory at the end of each or
No.
No, at the end of
Okay.
at the end of, but I guess what we need to do is have an agreement that we'll just keep going on day 1 until you've either run out of people on day 1 or passed enough for cause. And so day 1 might be longer than day 4.
Alright.
Or maybe we keep the numbers per day smaller to make sure you have time to get through them all.
That might be better. I anticipate an extraordinary number of strikes for cause, which is why we'd probably have to go pretty deep into the group.
Something to talk about the state with and give me your views on is whether or not you want to send the case specific plus the standard jury questionnaire well in advance of jury selection so that you can, and we can have a hearing about whether you want to strike for cause a substantial number based on their questionnaire responses, so that then the people that are appearing in the last week of April have already gotten that first level of vetting.
I think that would save us all a ton of time.
Would also save a bunch of potential jurors.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I understand that that will depend upon what county you're drawing jurors from or where the case is, and so.
Right.
We just need to get started.
Okay.
So put a pin in this for a moment. I have another, I think, threshold question that may impact scheduling.
Okay.
I do not mean to hold you to this answer. I'll understand if the response from defense counsel is we don't know yet. But is there a motion to sever coming?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That is something that needs to get filed as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because if granted, it's more than one trial.
We have a cool judge. He's got his glasses hanging from his robe and a pin
Okay.
from his
I propose that
His robe.
to the extent possible,
He's so cool.
first round of pretrial briefing be the jury selection issues that then you issue in the motion to sever.
That makes sense.
Those seem fundamental. I'm not limiting the state from adding anything, Mr. Lumber.
Yes, sir.
Jury selection.
Okay. And you typically, in my limited experience up here, you do typically give hearings, even if it's a motion that you could technically hear on briefs, you like to have the hearing, right, with the lawyers?
My preference is to do all the heavy lifting up front, try to rule for the bench.
Okay, in that case, if we're gonna be looking at a date where we hear these three, we do anticipate filing a motion asking you to reconsider detention in light of the trial date. And we'd like to hear it on that day, because that's gonna be our first hearing day, I think.
That's fine.
Um,
Why don't we set that hearing day and work back and have you and the state agree on briefing deadlines that work backwards? Mr. Glover.
Your Honor, as it relates to the forthcoming change of venue motion, I imagine perhaps all of them, but certainly that one, if based upon expert testimony, survey results, and the like, will require, my sense is, filing the written motion, then an evidentiary hearing,
Maybe.
and then some responsive reply briefing. It's without saying the initial motion, it's hard to forecast
Right.
whether we'll need an evidentiary hearing or not. But
Without seeing the survey results, it's hard to know whether or not a different county is better than this county.
correct. So as we pick dates and kind of backwards plan from those dates, I can envision at least that motion requiring an evidentiary hearing.
Perhaps we could at least have an initial discussion regarding the motion to change venue. It may be that the court makes a ruling along the lines of even if these survey results are accurate, the court's not persuaded
Yeah.
that a change in venue, and then that would obviate the need for an evidentiary.
Yes.
And so I think there's value in at least having a first discussion on the paper and see where we go from there.
And we would anticipate attaching as an exhibit whatever sworn,
Sure.
the results. And obviously if they, I mean, we can talk about whether they want a chance to cross-examine that person, but, I mean, we wouldn't hide the ball on that. We're gonna attach it to the motion.
Sure.
So they'll be able to see it and decide what they wanna do. But
I imagine that's an expert witness that needs to be made available to the state to, what's the word of the rule, consult.
This might be a difficult time of the year to get someone to do that kind of polling. I imagine pollers are quite busy at the moment.
Yeah.
We will start looking into it.
If you all decide that you want to stage these in 3 hearings instead of 2, we can still have discussions regarding jury selection that will cut across at least the entire 3rd district. And the motion to sever is a threshold issue.
Okay, so where we stand right now is we're looking at the first round of the most time-sensitive motions being the motion to reconsider detention, the motion to change venue, the motion to sever, and then the jury selection issues, which we may agree to most of them.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so,
That's a non-exclusive list. If you all come up with something else that needs to get considered, I'm happy to get it.
I do anticipate there's gonna be a motion to suppress, but I don't see why it has to be heard
Right.
quickly. Yeah,
I expect there'll be some 403 motions that we're hearing in the 2nd round.
oh, yeah. We may have the longest motion eliminate you've ever seen in your professional life, so get ready. But, yeah,
As I understand it, though, that will depend on the results of the motion to sever.
it will. Okay. So from our end, we are anxious on at least one of these to do it sooner rather than later.
I am sincere when I say I will make changes to my calendar to accommodate what needs to happen.
Thank you. But we are gonna need time to get the survey done.
Doesn't have to be one hearing. If you want to break it up, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe if we could, the motion to sever, the jury selection issue, and the motion to reconsider detention can all get filed fairly quickly. The motion to sever may be a little lagging a little behind. I mean, the motion to change venue
Sure.
could be lagging a little behind that, depending on if they're all politically,
Engaged.
yes, engaged. There's a few things going on in November that they might be interested in at the moment. Although I cannot imagine in this state that they're spending a lot of money on polling, but you never know.
Based on the text messages that are hitting my phone.
Oh, they are?
Yes, you and me both.
All right. Yes. Yes. So, go ahead.
Sorry. Maybe if we could set a date for the motion to reconsider detention and get that on the calendar. Because I do think we want to do that as soon as we're able to get something into it. Shouldn't take us too much longer.
Is it just our doing?
Yeah, from our perspective, yes. I know I talked to Mr. Bloodworth. He wasn't sure if they would have anything in addition, but yes, we expect it to just be
As
argument.
a representative has the right to speak at that. We need to coordinate that.
We will have exhibits attached to the motion, but we don't anticipate putting on witnesses.
Right.
I think you've heard from all of them already, so.
Your Honor, without seeing the filing, it's hard to say. However, if the state can proceed without presenting any additional evidence, that's our preference.
I think my view is this will be defendant's burden to make a showing sufficient to persuade the court to reconsider change its prior ruling regarding detention. So I don't know that the state has any burden here.
Yes, I view it the same way. We'll see what they file.
Sure. Earlier rather than later is what I heard you say.
Yes.
We're at a little bit of a loss here. Is Ms. Cross unconnected?
Your Honor, I don't think so. She's in trial.
She's next door.
Next door.
All right. We can set this, but we need to acknowledge that I don't have a way to, 6th. We just have to understand that we may have to move it. She has an unavoidable conflict.
It's 24th.
Do you have a?
Inquire about the state. Would you want time to do a written response, or would you be able to just, do you want a written response, or do you just wanna do it at the hearing? A lot of times in the valley, they don't even file answers for that exact reason, because they don't have a burden, but I know this case is unique. Do you wanna file a written answer? You do,
Yes.
okay. Well then,
I mean, maybe,
They want the option.
I want the option.
right,
Once I see the leading paper, I'll make a decision.
Why don't you folks just tell me when you want to do it and I'll make her.
could we do the hearing on maybe October 14th? That's a Monday.
Courthouse is closed that day.
No wonder my calendar is blank.
I'm also out of town that week.
Okay.
That whole week.
Yes.
Let's see.
How about the 21st?
The afternoon of the 21st, what have you got?
I may be picking a jury and paying a cruise.
Oh,
I have a very stale, and by stale, I mean this crime occurred in 2006, and we have a jury set. It's just a couple of days, but I think we're picking the jury that day.
Are there witnesses in that case?
I know, right? They're a lot older than they were. It's a really interesting DNA case. What about the 18th on a Friday? Oh, no, that's the week you're out of town, sorry.
It is.
about the 23rd, Wednesday the 23rd? Are you still in trouble?
Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of a dual language justification hearing that day. I can't reasonably, those folks are under house arrest, one of them's in custody.
What about the 28th Monday?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The 28th, Monday, the 28th,
I can make that work in the afternoon.
anytime.
Anytime, what's that day?
I can move that pretrial conference. Do you want to do it at 3:30? Does that give you enough time?
Sure.
It's okay if it's not, I can make time. Do you need more time?
No.
Okay.
That, if it's set that far, we may have all these motions filed and briefed by then.
All right, so that's a different can of worms.
Okay, because then you need more time,
I need time to prep.
right?
And we need more time to argue. So if you want to block a day, I'm happy to clear my calendar. I just need to be more thoughtful about what day I pick.
Well, we could do the hearing at 3:30 on the 28th and then at that time set the hearing for everything else.
Why don't we do both today?
Okay.
Okay. So a hearing on defense counsel's forthcoming request to reconsider detention on October 28th at 3:30 PM in person.
Okay.
I'll let you and Mr. Bloodworth discuss briefing deadlines. I just need to make sure that the state has a reasonable opportunity to file their brief and response by close of business on the 25th.
So the last brief, the reply brief or whatever needs to be filed by the,
No reply.
no reply.
State gets less.
Say this, okay, October
We're just
25th.
gonna keep this in.
All right,
You will, of course, be within your rights to reply to the state's arguments from the podium on the 28th. Okay, then perhaps a day-long hearing, we block a day in late November or December,
Oh, that late, or
or right, earlier. There isn't a whole lot of airtime between October 20th, late November.
So I'm looking at Thanksgiving's the 28th, right? Before
Correct.
Thursday. So before, we want to do it before that. What about the 18th of November on a Monday? Are Mondays bad for you? They're probably your bad days.
They're not. I'm the jury selection that day.
Okay.
I can bounce it though.
Maybe November 12th, Tuesday? Because I think the 11th's a holiday.
The 12th would be easier.
Can you do the 12th? Can you do the 12th?
You said the 12th works, is that what you said?
I can make room more easily on the 12th.
That would work.
Mr. Glover,
Yes, sir.
okay. November 12th, for a motions hearing, beginning at 9:30 a.m. in person. On that one, council, I need everything to be filed, and I need courtesy copies, so I make sure I'm reading the right stuff.
Okay.
I need courtesy copies on the 8th.
Okay. And we can just email those to you. Or would you rather have them in paper?
Can you just put them in a binder for me?
Of course.
Yeah, if there are exhibits, you're welcome to put exhibits on a thumb drive, so you're not printing voluminous exhibits, but I need the briefs in a binder.
Okay.
I really like him.
We pause there. Those were the issues on my list. Mr. Blevert, anything we failed to address today?
No, sir.
Ms. Lewis?
We also may have a motion to quash the bind over. I imagine that will be disposed of without any hearing. But we'll try to get that filed quickly as well.
I think on that one, I'll write a ruling that can be reviewed. We all created a transcript yet?
No, we need to do that.
I think we
Oh, we did get it.
Yeah,
We-
I think we got it.
Sorry. We do have the transcript.
I forgot, there was a court report here.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, my apologies.
We saw that one coming. I think that's all, Your Honor.
I can't think of anything else.
Okay, Mr. Rollins. Okay. Ms. Richins, I'll see you again on October 28th at 3:30 p.m. If anything comes up between now and then, I will make time. I wish you all the very best. Thank you for your patience with the court's many questions today.
Okay.
Court's in recess. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Darn it, I wanted to see her stand up. I'm gonna go back here and see if we got her coming in. I wanna see if I can get a shot of her outfit. Everybody's wondering about what she has on.
So yeah, Kathy and I have a jury out. I've never had this happen. We were in trial for 2 weeks in federal court. They went out at 4:30 on Friday.
Nightmare.
We'd already told them that
Calming.
I didn't get it. Okay. So, Ronnie, did you get those dates? I hope you did. I thought I got them, but I've got 2 things going off in one ear at the same time, so it's kinda hard. I know we had a date of, October the 28th at 3:30, and then we had another date at, November 12th at 9:30. Um, did not know, were both of those 2 separate dates, or did they change? So, we'll figure that out. Thank you guys for joining me. If you would like to continue, watching court, we are in the middle of the Tennessee versus Justin Johnson for the Young Dolph murder, day 2. It's starting to pick up now. Now we got some real testimony going. So if you would like to hop over there and join us. In the meantime, yep, I got 'em. Awesome. In the meantime, y'all have a fabulous day, and we'll see you later. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Really do.